Good evening. Welcome to Investigator News. And me and William are ready to go. I've been under the weather, folks. We didn't get banned. I have been severely sick and now the emergency room quite a few times over the last couple of weeks. I had a good moment today and I grabbed William and said, let's just do this. So we're going to try to get a show out today and glad to see everyone again. And we're going to mix it with a little bit of fun, a little bit of news, serious news and world wars. And um, Israel got the Hamas leader. So we got a lot in store today. So I'm going to start off with anybody enjoying this cool weather? What do you think, William? This
I like the cool weather.
nice,
It's
cool weather.
cool weather.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
You got to roll under the car on asphalt. When it's hot, it's kind of a pain, but when it's cooler, you don't end up with asphalt stuck to your shirt.
yeah. And we had frost warnings here last night. So as the cooler weather moves in, is this an early winter? I don't know.
The temperature roller coaster will continue as the eastern U.S. will be warming up again after seeing cooler weather over the past few days, while the southwest will remain cool and unsettled. A big temperature drop is in store for places like Denver and Phoenix, while most locations east of the Rockies, including Minneapolis, Houston, Atlanta, and Boston, will see a warming trend. Rain and even some snow in the higher elevations will be possible from Boise down to Salt Lake City and Denver through the weekend. A few severe storms cannot be ruled out near Albuquerque Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, what do you think, William? I'm ready. I'm ready for some rain. I'm ready for snow. We haven't had any good snow in a while.
I'm ready to change or check the antifreeze on my truck before it freezes. I find out the hard way.
We've got a lot of recalls on meat. Um, um, we had it. Let's see. Costco's, Trader Joe, Target, Walmart, Kroger. They are looking for beef. Not only that, but Southwestern style mini burritos. Oh, sold at Costco's. Lemon chicken. Um, Hello, Susan. Good to see you. I didn't tell anybody we were coming on. I just kind of did it. So everybody's going to probably have to catch us. Um, Sometimes, William, I think that's my stomach issue is I ate bad macaroni from Walmart, and I've been sick ever since.
Macaroni, huh?
Bad macaroni, yeah. And
Yeah.
there was white. There's Trader Joe's lemon chicken, arugula salad, white meat, chicken salad, chicken chow mein. Uh, I think they're taking out my staples, all this chicken stuff. Uh, Leave the chicken noodle soup alone. But we do have that. And not only that, now Coca Cola has recalled more than 13,000 cases. Um, they say that it's not safe to drink, it's contaminated, or it's mislabeled of the product. A few recalls announced this year. So take a look. They were announced the recall on September, but no one paid any attention. Um, it's Minute Maid Zero Sugar Lemonade due to labeling error. That's what they have recalled. So if you're drinking their lemonade, don't do it. Don't do it for a while. Just cut it out altogether. At least it ain't Coca Cola or the vanilla Coke. I'm stuck on after being this sick again. It's vanilla Coke or cream sodas, and they got to be warm. So I tried the Sprite thing, and it just gave me a horrible stomach ache. All right, Washington. This is a pretty neat story. I want to put these guys on here. There you go. There's the little bandits right there. Yeah. And what did they do? Well, the Washington State, it's over there by you, William. We got a lot of stuff going on with you today. Uh, Calls 911 after being hounded by up to 100 raccoons. Um, they said they frequently get phone calls about animals, but never about raccoons. They were swarming her home. She reported to have fled her property after 100 raccoons or more descended upon it and acting aggressively and hissing and spitting at her.
Well, she didn't bring out the food this time. I'd hiss and spit too.
They were demanding food, she says.
That's right.
They're holding a protest in her front yard. Well, Susan, what do you think of this? Man, you guys got to put something on this. Oh, she said she would run. She had to run to her car, and they would chase her and jump all over her car, and get behind us so she couldn't take off. I didn't say that she was feeding them all the time. It just said they all of a sudden. Oh, wait a minute. They saw this as a food source. What she would do to get in her car, she would throw food to them and then jump in her car. And then when she got back, they surrounded her, so she'd throw more food to get in the house. You're hungry, William.
There's just not enough Cheerios to go around.
Yeah. She said, let's see. Did they give me a video? Oh, they did give me a video. We got to check this out now.
So 35 years ago, you first started seeing some raccoons, and then when all of a sudden did it explode like this?
6 weeks ago.
Oh boy.
So 35 years ago, you first started seeing some raccoons.
Okay.
When all of a sudden did it explode like this?
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago.
Did you see all? I don't know if you're watching it or not, William, but they're feeding raccoons. Okay. On a serious note, let's get away from the 100 raccoons. U.S. bombers strike Yemen weapons facilities that are controlled by the Houthi forces. They were using B-2 bombers for precision strikes against the weapons storage, and they did get it. And it was definitely confirmed by the Defense Department. So now we're targeting the Houthis. I don't know if you heard anything on that, William. I don't know if I mentioned it before the show.
Well, I'm glad they're using something that's stealthy going in there so that they're not shooting at our small birds with lots of pilots in them. They were going after 3 major weapons depots, but the weapons depots were deep underground. So the light jets just weren't able to do the kind of bombing necessary to reach those bunkers. And so they had to use a high altitude aircraft to bomb it. When we go in with our jets,
isn't it the I could have this wrong. The Red Sea that's right there. That's the main shipping thoroughfare, and the Houthis for a long time have been clogging it up, on and off for Iran and basically Hamas and them.
In the Red Sea, it's the choke point between the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
Yeah, okay, the Gulf of Aden, that's what I was thinking. Because see, eventually we had to do something, folks, because if they choke that off, it's the main shipping for everything that goes up, not just to Israel, but to Egypt and all the ports along Egypt and Yemen and on downward. And they've been known to fire upon our ships for years. And we just kind of, I'm not going to say bomb them back, but we persuade them not to do it. So they at one time had a hold of the Carl Vinson, a few of their fleet ships. You know that Kim Jong-un he's patting himself on the back. He's sending military officials to help keep Russia in Ukraine. They say they got a good deal by sending officials to help Ukraine war, experts said. It doesn't just bring payment a lifeline, it gets access to vital combat data from a war zone. The partnership with Russia proves vital resources for North Korea strained economy. I seen a drone took pictures of North Korea, and William, it doesn't look good. It's starting to look not as pristine as
It's
Kim
never
Jong.
looked good. It's always looked terrible.
Yeah, it just they always show the good pictures though, you know.
Yeah.
And see, the whole thing was this drone snuck in and got the pictures. Maybe I'll have to find it for another show. Because I mean, I was surprised that they actually got the pictures and then got out with the pictures. So, what it is they're helping Ukraine. They're not helping Ukraine. I'm sorry. It's cited that Ukraine military intelligence officials saying thousands of North Korean troops are already been in Russia, and that they're receiving training for potential combat by the end of the year. So, William, they do have them over the troops over there, but they're not going to use them just yet.
So they're not using them for combat troops right now. They're using them to do the engineering and
yeah, they said
building,
engineering technicians.
yeah, in-depth defenses, so that it frees up Russians to do the fighting for now, and it gives the North Koreans time to acclimate to the area because they're very different climates. And once that acclimation's happened, well, then all bets are off.
Yeah. And according to Joseph Bermuzdes, he's a North Korean defense expert. It's a win-win situation for North Korea no matter what. Not only does it help boost their economy, but it gives him a chance to use the stuff that he has made while he's been waiting. So
That's true.
So it's already Russia has already pledged. Hi, Linda. Good to see you. Linda, I've been sick, so that's why we're lacking shows. Russia has already pledged to help North Korea with satellite launches also. And they say more balloons, satellites could be seen not just from China, but it could be North Korea and Russia now that's going to send balloons worldwide to collect data. So that's another thing that Russia's going to help Korea with. So that's why I said I think it boosted his ego. Well, probably a sister's ego too, because she's been real quiet and having from Taiwan News. And my source there said she's been kind of moving around and having meetings in different places to work out deals for their what was it you said, William, they sent over there?
Their advisors.
The advisors, they were technical and engineers, yeah, mostly engineers is what she was working with to help get them out. So it sounds like she's ready to boost their economy with joining up with not, and I didn't hear Iran. I heard more just Russia.
Well, Russia's really in the pickle. Iran's in a kind of wait and see mode right now, what the Israelis may do next. They don't want to insult them anymore, I don't think, right at the moment.
Now,
so since we last talked, Iran has launched 2 major airstrikes.
And, you know, the other thing, you know, we talk about the engineers and the technology. Well, a big thing is more than 1.4 million young people have volunteered to join the North Korean army in response to being able to run drones.
Keep in mind, the only business really going on in North Korea is the military. So if there's an opportunity to not get shot and have a job, it's going to be pretty popular.
Oh yeah, and it is. It says that the young people's zeal for joining the army is an eruption of the hatred and the retaliatory spirit of the younger generation. But not only that, the ability to learn a craft of engineering and technology, and the chance to fly drones and not necessarily go to battle. Um, they want to also punish the scum who committed a hideous crime to ignite war at any cost. And they said it's between the two Koreas. And they blew up a section of two roads that connect the north and the south of this last week sometime. Because that's when I noticed this was happening. Did you hear about that, William, where they blew up that
Well,
road?
they still have a couple of bridges between North and South Korea that exist. North Korea and South Korea have been in a constant state of war since the 1950s, when the United Nations went to war with North Korea. They've just been in a ceasefire mode, but they haven't stopped the war. And so there's constantly a back and forth going on between North and South Korea.
Well, at least it's better than the trash they were dropping. I'm back. I mean, it was what 3-4 weeks ago when I reported on they were dropping trash on them on South Korea.
Yeah.
Well, now
Flying cow poop, yeah.
So they have got a 1.4 million North Korean youth that are ready to fly these drones. And they said they want to be a big part, and they see that their leader is reaching out to other countries, which would make them possibly be a part of getting rid of the scum that keeps putting sanctions on North Korea, which is the United States. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I think everybody else does too.
We're the great bait in the world because we are the de facto world superpower. And, you know, when you're the big guy, everybody hates you. Well, until you need to be defended. So, yeah.
And you know, even Zelensky he stated just today that thousands of North Korean troops are preparing to fight on Russia's behalf. And they've always been deployed there. He just never said nothing. So, I mean, he's verified it. That he's saying thousands. North Korea's saying hundreds. And Russia isn't saying much on it.
Well, I'm certain the North Korean troops are much better trained because they're pretty much lifelong members. So, Ukraine hasn't had a long-term standing army except for an officer class, and North Korea's had a long-standing NCO class. So, yeah, they can be dangerous, I would suspect.
So, Iran, a defense minister, Aziz, oh boy, Aziz, I'm going to just stick with that, William, on Wednesday, today, dismissed the advance of missile defense system the United States is deploying in Israel. They're saying this is all psychological warfare, and it's going to do little to even help Israel. Now, according to Iran, they say it's just the Pentagon confirmed this on Monday, and they say it's a way to bolster Israel's already formidable missile defenses. It seems like, yeah, but you know, we just talked about North Korea, William. Now it looks like we're kind of sending the same thing of engineers and technical people into booster systems.
Well, they have their Iron Dome system, but we also have the system as well. And we're deploying our system in defense of Israel while, you know, they're busy. So
the THAAD,
they'll have
I'm not sure what the
Israeli
THAAD
Iron Dome
is.
with newer system.
They say the deployment of the THAAD battery to Israel underscores the United States' commitment to the defense of Israel and to defend Americans in Israel from any ballistic missile. Is THAAD Iron Dome type thing? I don't see anything on it.
It's an intermediate defense system. It's for basically controlling your coast, your military bases from attack. But you know, we build those, we test them. But this gives us an opportunity to test them in the field, and you can gain invaluable information. Actually, use them against a foe that has some new technology.
Yeah. It all seems kind of for so long, William, we've been hearing, you know, Iran's threatening Israel, and Putin was threatening Ukraine, and North Korea with South Korea, and even China to Taiwan. Like they were so close, you know, just a bad rock could start a war. And now it seems like just since we're getting closer to the election, they're moving in not only psychological warfare like this talks about, but they're moving in advisors and people that the engineers and the technology part of it. You see that happening?
Well, they want to be able to move all the people they can before the next administration comes in, because nobody knows on the planet who that next administration is going to be. And were it to be Trump and his administration, you wouldn't have an opportunity to be doing that anymore.
Yeah.
So, you would place some draconian,
you know, and with Israel, you know, they killed that Hamas leader, Sinwar, in Gaza.
Yeah, Sinwar.
Yeah, and it seems like, you know, Netanyahu and even the president there has said they're going to hit strategic sites. And, you know, they're like, oh, well, don't hit no nuclear. Well, when was nuclears mentioned? Because, you know, I went back, William, I started digging, and it was like they were saying strategic sites, and they did, you know, we did hit a weapons facility, but in the meantime, it just seems like they have been knocking out leaders. They did a lot, and I believe it was Lebanon, where they hit multiple. I can't remember how many.
Yeah, they used the pagers to get some leaders, and
the pagers. Yeah, and then now they got the Hamas leader, and see, now we jump in. The Pentagon says maybe this will end the war. No, it's
okay. It's not going to affect anything.
No.
Sinwar's owns for the last 3 or 4 months that he's being particularly hunted. Everything Sinwar knows, he's already transferred to a lieutenant someplace, taught. So if they know that, think about it. If you know you're engaged in a war and you're the guy that's the brains of the outfit, and your enemy is running a decapitation operation towards you, you need to get a lieutenant below you to have all your information and have, you know, all your ideas and whatnot given to them, and give them the time to, you know, have that mull around in their head should they have to take control if you know, disappear from the battlefield. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that's already what's happened. So is it going to be a big deal? It's going to be a big deal for a little while, but it's not going to last.
Yeah, because, you know, they're even saying this campaign is to destroy Hamas, and they're urging the group to surrender, of course, and they think Hamas will rule no longer in Gaza, only for a little while, just like you said, because they always got the next person to step in, always. Hamas is like ISIS, and they're like the Taliban, right. And they're Hezbollah and the Houthi and even the ones down in Africa. If they kill a leader off.
Keep in mind, these are terrorist states. All these states are terrorist states.
Yes, and they have a leader to follow in behind. So if the United States is saying, oh, this will be that Hamas will no longer be in Gaza. Well, yeah, they're still there. They may flee northern and maybe get the protection of Hezbollah till they get another leader. But I don't think it's going to make a big difference in Gaza because they're all still there.
So terrorists have learned from people in the United States, our fighters. When we have operations in the United States, our commanders come out and tell everybody what the strategy is. If we lose a leader, the next lower on the command chain continues to fight all the way until the private. So you reconstitute your leaders on the battlefield. It's impossible to take out folks like that, and terrorist organizations around the world try to learn from the best.
Yeah. No.
So they've caught up.
Yeah. I think this is going to go on for a while. Just like Putin with or Russia and Ukraine. Russia is already planning for January. They're already planning for January. That's how we see a country that has got a war and defense department that plans all of this. Where, William, I don't think Ukraine does, and I don't think the terrorist Hezbollah and Hamas. I think they're the same ways. Where Israel has the plan. That's why we have great nations and a strong military around the world.
Israel's able to create its own economy, a powerful economy. That's what makes Israel dangerous, okay, is because they're constantly innovating. If you're not willing to innovate and use the latest technology and sell the latest technology, you become the prey, right? And the only thing you have to fight back with, if you have a superior enemy, is with good guerrilla tactics. And that's exactly what's happening. Lebanon has a functioning good government, but Hezbollah is functioning in Lebanon in contravention to the Lebanese government. They're a terrorist organization, and Gaza would be doing the same thing if somebody else if Egypt administered Gaza. See what I'm saying? So Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, they're terrorist organizations. They've been fighting for thousands of years. Nothing's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
The arguments aren't going to go away.
No.
It just matter. They're going to take a breath. One side or the other is going to take a breath, take a rest while they rearm and refit until the next opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And this is going to continue to go on. We have to
understand. And it's the reason a lot of it's going to keep going on is because we have Iran that keeps supplying these terrorists the ammunition and what they need to continue the war against Israel.
Well, if it wasn't Iran, right, it would be perhaps Ukraine, or it would be Turkey.
Turkey has been very quiet on this, if William, because we don't mention Turkey a whole lot lately, but Turkey and Jordan, Iraq, Pakistan,
the leaders in Turkey and in Jordan
Oman,
are clinging on to power.
These little countries have all stayed quiet, and it's like we were just talking about. They don't have the economic to be able to push forward to do anything or say anything right now. All right, I want to move on because we could probably sit and talk about this forever, but I'm going to get back to it here in a little bit, though. Now, earlier this month, folks, we have seen a huge amount of China youth, college age, that been flooding the borders. We've seen it for about a month in August. And I took a note and I kind of was watching where they were going. Well, earlier this month, this is the most I've seen them catch so far. 5 Chinese University Michigan students were charged in a federal encounter of a surveillance probe. Now, they've had it happen in Texas also. And what it is they, like I've said before, they move on to these farms or they move into a college town that's next to a military base. Now, get this, folks. They weren't charged with espionage or acting as a spy for China or anything. They were charged with covering up a midnight visit to a Michigan military site. Now, I think Mary lives close to a military site, and they've also found them there, just 2. They're finding just a few of them. But this is first class spying.
You don't have to engage in transfer of secret documents to be a spy. All it requires is that you're doing on the ground recon for a foreign government.
Well, see, they're in, get this, these students are in, and I found out that, look back, and this Texas was the same university. Okay, so in Michigan, it was Ann Arbor. It was part of a joint program with Shanghai Jiao Tong University. So they can send messages back and forth, but combine the two so they can get credit over at the university over in China, but also be able to get credit here if they decide to stay here. But if you're still have ties with China, you have ties with China. And how much you want to bet they'll just disappear.
Ann Arbor's always been a university with great ties to Asia. All the countries in Asia. So they're not going to just shed their spots. It's always been part of their mission is to understand Asia. So yeah.
And one of the students here a while back was found spying on a National Guard training center. They were spying on that, but not only that, but they were, like I said, right next to a military installation, and they could basically get whatever they can from the outskirts if they stayed. I think they breached, William. I think they're breaching.
If you recruit spies to be students, if you hire them to be professors, you're going to end up with spies in your midst. I mean, this isn't like rocket science. You get what you ask for a lot of times. And universities that have great ties to different regions will end up with the problems of those regions. So, like, let's say you're from Flagstaff, Arizona. They have a lot of ties with the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
Or another university like Caltech. They have a lot of ties to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
This happens. And keep in mind, universities aren't like colleges. When you go to college, you learn a trade, you learn how to be competent in an area. When you go to a university, they give you a historical, universal background of what's going on the planet. And different universities have different specialties. So this isn't really a surprise that certain universities are going to have additional problems.
Yeah. And what gets me is, well, you know, when they're caught, they said, "Oh, we were just watching shooting stars."
Well, they could have been doing that at the time as well.
I don't think so. I
And
think
pass
it's,
the lie detector. as
they're
long
all
as they did
using
it,
the same, they're all using the same thing though. The ones in Texas
Don't
and,
do it on a military restricted area, because, you know, it only takes one spark around the world, and the United States goes to DEFCON whatever. And when they get to DEFCON whatever, they don't necessarily stop you. They don't necessarily question you. They might shoot you.
well, you know, they fact checked them because they opened up the suitcases and they had pictures of the military base.
You know, there it is. That's fine.
Yeah, and what do? We just say, oh, they were looking at the night sky in bad spaces. We didn't even charge them with spying. Of course not.
It sounds like somebody doesn't want this coming to, you know, the big media during an election. If we just, you know, sweep it under the rug.
But see, this has been going on.
That is not,
August,
that is
it
not
happened in
gonna-
August in Texas. And so it's happened before, and the media didn't say nothing about it. And then right before that, I think it was in June that I started seeing them coming into the country, and we started getting reports they were moving onto farms. So now we know they're kind of sticking their nose in, they're watching shooting stars over military bases only. So.
Yeah, they might see stars.
Yeah, well, yeah. They
right
can't see
before they hit the
stars.
ground.
Well, look at the pollution over there in China. Maybe they've never seen stars before.
I guess. I don't know, Dilly.
Here's another thing we didn't hear much about. This Afghan national was arrested in Oklahoma for an election day terrorist plot. Well, as we look into this, what got me was they were doing this Afghan group was going to do it for ISIS on behalf of ISIS, and to show that ISIS is alive and well. Because remember, William, we had a thing. Let's see, where was it? About
Well, you know,
Lloyd Austin.
If Venezuela wants to have a quieter Venezuela and they send all their prison gangs to the United States, it's going to be quieter, right?
Yeah. Well, see, the whole thing is his name is Nasir Ahmad Tawhidi. Now,
Yeah, he's assimilated, obviously.
yeah, and well, guess what? He was at one time was being trained by the CIA. When I dug into his stuff.
You know, the CIA involves themselves all over the world, and that's just not a really big surprise. We've all probably been involved in the CIA, whether we know it or not.
And when we brought over those Afghans on the planes, you know, when we
yeah, that was a bad deal right there.
Right. According to his records, they had him under Catholic Charities, and when they went and looked, they don't have any record of him.
We keep going back to these public-private partnerships are going to get us all killed.
I'll see what.
I hate to be blunt like that, but
yeah.
They're literally going to get us killed here in the United States because they don't. Private partnerships are not good at security.
Yeah, and see, this was going to be in Oklahoma, and pretty much what I was able to find out is his brother-in-law was arrested Monday after purchasing some AK-47 rifles, and it was and ammunition. It was basically uncovered by the FBI in rural location of Oklahoma. Now, after the arrest, he admitted that he and his brother-in-law bought guns to commit an attack on election day, targeting large gatherings of people that were going to be, they were checking out different sites where a politician and a large amount of people would gather, and they would get into the crowd and they would fire upon them. And this is, they found a message, and this was according to an affidavit that the brother wrote, and they found it at his brother's house. So now the Justice Department didn't really have much on it, and they also not going to disclose how this plot was uncovered. Of course not. And the FBI
Right.
indicated that the affidavit the agents received, they received in August. So they got wind of it in August, and they had him arrested in September.
Yeah. So when you have elections coming up, people put things in their hip pocket in case they need it during, an election cycle. And apparently, the FBI had this in their vest pocket waiting.
Yeah, and the thing with ISIS though, because we mentioned Lloyd Austin, right, is over there in Europe, and
Yeah, at the NATO convention.
and he I think you had something on that.
Yeah, so they have a regular grouping of basically an anti-ISIS grouping at NATO. And all the different countries in NATO pitch in because ISIS is a major problem for not just the United States, but for Europe because it increases immigration or migration out of those countries towards Europe and the United States.
Yes.
So if they can keep ISIS suppressed, that's a good thing. So they're pretty happy about right now their ability during this last cycle to keep a lid on the ISIS problem in Arabia.
But William, it is my source over there in Taiwan. He said Indonesia is just packed with ISIS.
They are, and a lot of them were in the Philippines and were either killed and kicked out. So you got to keep in mind, Indonesia is a Muslim country.
Right. And now William, get what, when I did that story with this Afghan that was plotting to a terrorism attack, and it was all orchestrated by ISIS. And then we hear that the probably the State Department and the Department of Defense and others with the FBI and CIA, they were all going after ISIS. Now I start to wonder if this wasn't retaliated. When they started poking at him, ISIS says, no, let's go over there and start something.
Well, it's always a quid pro quo with terrorist groups.
Mm-hmm. But see, they never attack, or no, I should say they always respond every time we have dug in anywhere. Because that's what I was finding out with them when I was hunting ISIS.
So the difference between ISIS and Israel or the United States is ISIS will go up not only after military organizations or political organizations, they'll just go after the population at random in general.
And they like to mingle into the colleges, because see, that's a lot of what they did up in Syria. When they tore Syria down, is they mingled in with the college students there and got them to protest, and then went on from there and just took the country down. And I think that's what they're doing over here. They're mingling with the college students to protest.
And they'll grab
I have to go looking for them again and see what I can find with the colleges. But ISIS, it responds, and
well, they're like Afghanistan was. The great bombers in Afghanistan were, Western trained chemists. They learned their trade at the universities. They added that with telephones, and they were off to the races. So they took university people that had done training in electronics. They took university people in chemistry. They mix them together. You got a war front. They're always going to go towards higher technical areas because they want to use those skills that they can learn that they wouldn't otherwise have.
Yeah. And you know, we mentioned the shipping over there with the Houthis and stuff. Now, on the other side of the world, we got China almost doing the same thing with the shipping and the international waters uh, between China and Taiwan. And William, you mentioned earlier how much China hates Japan. It goes all the way up to Japan where they're blocking, and it was fishing vessels. We've talked about the fishing vessels they sent down around Australia and hid uh, a battleship or some type of defense military ship in the middle of
Don't,
it.
don't keep in mind any ship that isn't a warship like the United States, they'll menace on the open waters if
Yeah.
if that's their aim.
Yeah, and you know, and then we know that they are in our international waters, but they are up around Alaska with Russia. We see them down around the Gulf Coast. It's still international waters, folks. But when we start seeing them, and then they're blocking and becoming more aggressive with Taiwan. And you know, we're seeing this all over the world, though. Each of these Israel or Iran or everybody is amping up to the next level, to the next step. That you know, if you study war, I think William knows more about the war stuff than me, but when you start looking into it, this is just a part. It's that next step. That's why when you hear, oh, China is going to invade Taiwan in 2030, it's that plan. It's that plan they have. And now these islands, William, you're talking about these islands around. And they've made islands. They've taken islands.
The Spratlys and the Parcels are 900 nautical miles from China. And that's 700 miles out of their exclusive economic zone and 100 miles into both Indonesia and Philippines economic area. So they're a rogue nation on the high seas, and things are getting tense. Everybody, all the time, when there is a military concern among a nation, they will build up their weapons, if for no other reason, a defense. And what we have now with all these with tensions all over the world is we have an arms race. Well, arms races lead to one thing. And we can end up having regional things turn into global things very quickly.
And before it gets washed away, or the news didn't even, I don't think they reported it. There's a search underway for 2 Navy crew members that were on board the EA-18G Growler aircraft that crashed on Mount Rainier on Tuesday. The aircraft took off in the Naval Air Station Whidbey Island during a routine training flight, and they have found the craft, but the 2 pilots are missing.
So if the pilot's ejected, the aircraft can go for miles and miles.
That's what they were saying, that that there was no sign of them near the crash. So now they're scoping out the areas, looking for them, whether they ejected or where they could have ejected to, and hope to find them today, they said.
It's difficult to get into those areas because of the altitude. Even the helicopters have a hard time getting up there. So they have to get there by foot a lot of times out of safety reasons. Likelihood there's nobody alive in the aircraft if it's gone down and they're in the aircraft. If they ejected, they might not even be on Mount Rainier. So it's going to take, people don't realize how rugged it is here in the Northwest and even in California in the Sierra Nevadas. It can take months to find people.
Yeah, And if even if they did eject, are they still alive? They don't. They don't know. So we'll keep tabs on it and see what's up. Um,
Well,
Dave, you were talking about huh?
The aircraft has an ELT, an electronic transmitter, in the event of an ejection. And also, the pilots have a small radio that has an ELT on it if they turn it on. Now, that may help. They may be looking for electronic signals, or they actually have to go in and physically search, but they've got to get to that aircraft pretty soon.
Yeah. Now you mentioned they caught a bomber in Washington, close to you.
Yeah. So we have an Asian man had made some bombs. They were, the size of, I don't know, a softball. And they had some black powder in them, a trigger device. He was trying to light it as he was grabbed up on the freeway. They didn't even know he had a bomb for a minute until his supervisor noticed that they kicked it out of the way and that it was actually a improvised explosive device. So that shut down the freeway here for like half a day. So we keep seeing these negative things happening on the freeways like that. We've had a rash of shootings of just random cars on the freeway here in Seattle. I know a lot of other places. Maybe Ellie can talk more about that.
Yeah. Well, the surprising thing is even the article I did find on this, William, was they were surprised that Washington was having this problem because it seems to be a lot of the big cities, sanctuary cities, that are having these shootings. And for the most part, these are the illegals that have come across the borders, but they're also finding just, like William said, the white guys are doing it too.
Yeah, you got homeless people getting involved in it. You have a whole bunch of
a little bit of everybody
going on right now. Especially when we knew this was going to happen in an election cycle. We knew that anything that can happen is probably going to happen in an election cycle, and we've seen an uptick in this.
The thing is that there's a rise. It's tripled. It's like 70% increase in all these and Washington State, basically, New Jersey, New York, Chicago, California. Now, some of the states that have sanctuary cities, like in Colorado and Arizona, Ohio,
Colorado just had a police
Pennsylvania, Nevada, Florida. A lot of these places, they underreport, and the article says they've even had to contact these states to find out what, if they're having shootings. And they're like, oh, lo and behold, yeah. So they're really not wanting to give out the information. And I think it's just to protect the citizens or to have people not flee the cities. But these are highway shootings, folks, where you could get stuck in traffic and lo and behold, someone gets mad, 10 cars down, and just gets out and starts shooting people. Or it just gets mad and shoots one.
They're just shooting people at random for the reason of shooting people.
Mm-hmm.
They're not engaging with people they have a beef with. You just happen to be at the right place at the right time, and they pull the trigger.
And
it's happening everywhere.
But William, one of the things we don't hear very often, because it seems kind of trivial, and not everybody dies, is youth throwing stuff off the bridges onto cars. That's doubled since 2019. It's doubled. They got bored, sitting at home with the masks on. They were like, nah, let's go create some havoc on the freeways. So that's doubled. The shootings have tripled on the highways. So, now we have to be careful. people are starting to say, I need cameras in my car. Because if I don't, what if this is a strike and run, a shooting and they take off? It's
You should have a camera in your car anyway to protect yourself.
and
against
even these
somebody else
cities with
doing it.
these doorbell cams. I know a lot of you guys might watch them on YouTube, but even they're having an increase of watching people steal or come up and yell or uh, weird stuff. Weird stuff. World's gone
I've even had
crazy.
my front door kicked in.
Yeah.
Why? We don't know. Could just be a teenager.
And
It's
yeah.
They just did it and ran. It's not like they tried to come in. If they had, well, I could have been, William, the evil William.
Yeah.
But by the time I got to the door, there's nobody even there. This kind of stuff has always happened to a greater or lesser degree. Pranks, right? Everybody grows up, and everybody's probably done a prank of one sort or another. But during times of tension, they escalate.
Yeah, like the raccoons.
That's right. Those darn.
If you guys got in here late, you have to watch the beginning of the show with the raccoons. So we have Iran that's, they are now threatening to strike Israel. They are, but they're not. I think it's that empty threat that they have to. Oh, you did this, so we're going to have to hit you eventually. Now,
Israel threatened a strategic strike. That means if they get a chance at a nuclear facility, they're going to hit.
Yeah, it's Iran and China and Russia and
yeah, it's pushback. They got themselves in too deep.
And technically, folks, I mean, even though we have the election in a couple weeks, we're not going to see a new president in office. A new or old or new. It's going to be a new till January. Now, as tensions grow, you have to almost wonder, and are any like Iran or China or Russia, are they going to make the big strike? Knowing of this weak foreign affairs that we have in our own country, it would be, if they're going to strike, they better strike before January. Or are they just going to wait and then lose the ability if Trump gets in?
Well, they lose that opportunity of weakness, and they have to just decide what's in their best interest. But, of course, when things are more tense, things are more likely.
But see, it's not against us, though, William. See, that's the whole thing, because with Iran, it's Israel. China, it's Taiwan. And Russia, it's Ukraine.
A nuclear strike from Russia recently.
See,
they have their,
it's not going to be the big kaboom, folks. They got smaller missiles that they could go kaboom with that can cause serious damage to a country like Taiwan or Ukraine or Israel. And the possibilities could be there.
Place at the right time, you can cause a lot of internal damage to a country.
Because what will our the Pentagon, or what will NATO, or what will the United States Department of Defense, what would they do if it's not us? It's someone else, but they're our allies. We would have to act, maybe.
Everybody has a doctrine of reciprocity, so they maintain their power place in the world. The problem is when they get to proportional responses. Now, proportional response can get way out of hand, right?
Yeah.
So that's how you end up going from control of the situation to the situation controlling you, is you go from reciprocity to proportional response. And in that foggy area, that area of plausible deniability, bad things can happen, and it can take countries into war.
Yeah. So with that, William, I think we'll close the show, I want to thank everyone for watching, and just subscribe, folks, so you can get notified when I pop on. When I feel good, I'm going to grab up Williams and just say, come on, let's go with it. Heck, I might even come in with messy hair and my wrinkled up shirt. I don't know. We'll see.
Might as well, I guess.
Hopefully I can do trivia tomorrow. And since I feel decent in the mornings, I might be able to get enough of it to do an early trivia show. I'll let everybody know in advance. So
We're thinking about doing the shows early because Ellie feels better before noon, before she has to eat. And so you may see until she gets her health thing taken care of, right, Ellie?
Yeah. It's
Earlier
once I
show.
eat that's the problem. And like right now, I've had, well, I've been trying to do a glass of milk is what they want me to do, and maybe a little bit of broth. And so that's all I've had today. I'm losing a lot of weight, and my health is horrible. And so me popping in when I feel good, we're going to do some earlier shows. So thank you, William, for jumping in. I probably surprised him today saying, let's do this. So, and I held up. Now I'm going to go in and get something to eat. And hopefully tomorrow morning, I'm going to try to get the trivia together while I feel good. And then if I'm still feeling good after I get it together, we'll jump in and do some trivia. So, all right, William, thanks a lot. And hopefully we'll see us soon.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for watching, and subscribe and hit the like button, the thumbs up. Let's get us going again. Share with friends and family and tell them to come watch. You know, we had a great show full of a lot of info today. So, again, thank you for watching.